tech, for example. Government spending, it depends how much is government going to spend on schooling crisis as compared to health advertising. Nothing is fixed here, but research has to figure out what are the possibilities. So, okay, just to summarize then, the opportunities and the risks, there's no magic solutions, unfortunately, but it's very clear now, I think, to many people, but especially we have to make it clear to the public and to the policymakers and those with money that this is urgent. People take media for granted, and they're going to miss it like mad when it's gone, or when it's scaled down to almost, two journalists, supposed to be doing a job of covering a city. I think that everybody now accepts that the diagnosis is that there's not a market solution here. Now, of course, for South Africa, there was never a market solution for media diversity and for small-scale media because audiences were too poor to pay or to attract advertising. But now it's more broad, and of course, it's worse even for small media. So there's acceptance diagnosis. We've got to say to people, you cannot just accept sort of neoliberal economics that the media can somehow dig itself out of this crisis. So most media, I include even, the kind of commercial media, SABC itself, they need that outside support. But that's not enough because media also have to innovate. We can't think that outside support is going to rescue media enough. It's essential. Necessary, but it's not sufficient. We need more innovation. And innovation calls for creativity. And to get outside support requires advocacy. These things don't happen. Nobody just comes to give media money or tax breaks or whatever they can, or put pressure on internet companies. It only happens if there is pressure put, and that pressure's got to be convincing. It must be persuasive. So it must be informed, for example, by research that can point out, you lose this media, there's going to be more corruption because money is just going to go not to dealing with COVID, but into people's pockets or whatever. If you lose media, these are the other consequences for health. If you keep media, these are some options. If you want innovation media, these are some options. So this is why I really underlined informed advocacy, and I think that's where the research can be super valuable. Sorry, my order of slides wasn't right here. Anyway, the risks, 3 risks I've just identified here. One, when media becomes dependent on donors, we know, of course, donors have particular interests. So there's always that negotiation and not becoming too dependent on one donor who only wants one kind of subject to be covered. When there's subsidies and adverts, they can become politically conditioned. We know around the world, this is media capture, how this is used to really skew the agendas of media. And then the last thing is, of course, that media can pivot instead of serving the audience to serve these sponsors. Now, basically, I think that we can say that there's 2 logics in media. One logic is in order to make money, and the other logic is you make money in order to make media. So because media plays such an important role, there's nothing wrong with making money, but let's not treat media as a means to try and make money. Well, frankly, it's not it's a means to lose money at the moment. But we need to really highlight that the point of media is not just to get the money in, it's to do public service. So, okay, let me move on here now. So at UNESCO, we published this recent issue brief. I will share this whole PowerPoint, and then people can follow this and find it on the internet. But anyway, this basically is something we really recommend to all the 193 governments that are members of UNESCO. We said media organizations should get support by technology companies and by governments. And at the same time, we said editorial independence should be guaranteed. And there must be a plurality of media, because